Hello, in this video we're going to discuss advice to law enforcement agencies. Imposters Part 1. So an imposter can be a lookalike, or it can be a person from underground who has similar features to the original. They can also be a clone. As far-fetched as cloning sounds, the technology existed in the 80s and has been used. So targets of imposters are politicians and world leaders, actors, singers, entertainers, and people in sport, and military units and military leaders. So with the imposters, they replace the original person and steal their lives. The original is later brutally murdered horrifically underground. Sometimes they give the original a horrific murder that involves something to do with their past. So if they're an actor in a movie, their death might have involved something that was a theme that was to do with the movie that they used to be in. And this is to entertain Satan. The witches and wiccans see this as entertainment. The trade from original to imposter takes place underground, where the original is made unrecognizable, particularly around the face, and they are raped and tortured and drown-raped repeatedly by the imposter. Imposters are wiccans and witches and work for Satan. They undermine good people and destroy lives. They're given a harsh upbringing underground. It is a competitive and brutal environment. There's a lot of rape and torture and murder goes on underground, where these people are created and brought up. In order for them to succeed to get onto the surface, they have to do some real nasty stuff to other people to impress the people that are in charge of them. Signs of this are a person's sudden change in behavior. Now, an example of this is Charlie Sheen. So his behavior changed dramatically. Another person, Tom Cruise. When Tom Cruise was bouncing on the couch on the Oprah Winfrey show, that was when the imposter had just taken over that guy's life. Alright, so immensely happy they're no longer underground and now have taken over that person's life. In Charlie Sheen's case, there was a lot of things out of character that he did. They also become racist. And people might have known them their whole lives, and then all of a sudden the person starts to become racist. That's another sign, because everyone is racist underground. The person becomes self-centered and uncaring. Imposters always live underground, so they think they've escaped underground. Then they go and live the life of the original, but then when they go home, they actually wind up going back underground. So check underneath their houses and you may find structures, bunkers and tunnels. And you might find people being held underground against their will, being tortured. They have machines that do this automatically. The imposter is hypnotized daily with drown rape to reinforce the character. If they vanish for weeks, then they're most likely undergoing character realignment, which involves more hypnosis. With character realignment, the person has to have everything of the original's life brought up, and they have to be able to know everything about them. And it goes down to their accent and everything. In cases where there is a person who's aged and the imposter is younger, prior to them going to the surface, they actually can age the skin. They have a machine that they dunk people in, which ages the skin and makes it wrinkly. So that's an introduction to imposters. Now in the case of military units, they can completely take over a military unit like this, and they would be out of character compared to the rest of their army or navy or air force, and do things they shouldn't be doing. Imposters also exist in conflicts. The UK military intelligence were the Chetniks in Bosnia during the Bosnian War, and they walked along, travelled behind military units on the front line and committed atrocities, and then got away with it, because quite simply they just leave the country at the end of the conflict and get away with it. Everyone goes, that's the Chetniks, that's the Russians from the north. No, it wasn't. It was UK military intelligence. So that's another example. They go into conflicts dressed up as military units and operate within the lines or logistic routes and other areas of a conflict, and people don't know that they're not from that unit at all. With DNA testing, it will show up an imposter or a lookalike, but it will not show up a clone. Clones will share the same DNA. With a lookalike, it is a person that looks like the original that is forced and coerced to become an imposter. So that's an introduction to imposters. I'm the Archangel Daniel, and I'm from heaven.